Hello everyone and welcome back to the Dublo Railway. This is the story of unreliable West Countries. Now the two that you see in the foreground are both two rail, and the motors that you see beside them have been removed from them and replaced. Both of these within about 2 or 3 months of arriving here, and not a great deal of running, just completely failed. The armatures in both of them probably weren't in the best of shape to start with, but they both gave out, and this is the story of the replacement of one of the motors, and it's the motor in the rearmost of these two, the pretty much worse for wear one of the bunch. Missing smoke deflectors. Actually, both of these have damaged tenders. This one's got one on the left has a more damaged tender. And just for a bit of variety, there's a 3-rail version of these in the background hauling, as you can see, some Southern Region coaches. You will see these running later in the video anyway. But this is the start of it. Let's repair to the office and see what happened. So here we are in the office, and we'll dispose of the first matter first. There are two motors, two Hornby Dublo motors that look like this. The motor for these is this one. It's a B series. I think you could maybe make out, I don't know, I'll just try focusing in on that. There should be a B visible on that, and that's the motor that you want. Just let me get the focus back again. Now, tall tales and true, I had this motor sent halfway around the world. The person who sent it advertised it as, well, he actually advertised a B motor. This is an A, and it doesn't fit these. It fits some of the other locomotives. So paid for it. The photo on eBay showed the correct motor. This thing turned up, a fairly unsatisfactory experience. It was about $100 and something landed, and I got a quick email saying sorry, they look the same to me. So I didn't follow up. I just decided that I'd keep this. This goes, and one day I'm going to need it. Something's going to break in one of these ring-filled motors. Most likely the armature. The armatures tend to go. Now, what I've got sitting here is a 3-rail and a 2-rail West Country. Neither of them have, well, this one doesn't have the correct body on it. This is the 3-rail one. This has the correct body on it, but as you can see, bits and pieces are missing. This is really a B grade example, but the motor in it blew, and it's the second one of these I've had blow. So as you can see, I've got 2 dud motors here, and they will one day go away for rewinding. It's the armatures that have gone. The local rewinder here in Australia isn't doing the job at the moment, so I'm hopeful that he will return to service. So, what are the things to watch for with these? Well, these motors do tend to burn out. I've had Hornby Dublo for 50 years. And I've bought one 4MT with a blown armature, and I've had the armature on Nigel Gresley, an A4 go. in all of that time. And so that's in about the space of 48 years. In the last 2 years, I acquired this and another two-rail one, and within a very short time, their armatures had given out. Now, there's a problem sometimes with overheating. Anyway, let's have a look at how you go about replacing this. So we'll just put that to one side. This comes apart pretty simply. There are two screw holes at the back. They hold. I'll show you on this one. They hold something that the drawbar sticks through. This is what it looks like in its unpanel beaten form in real life. So these two screws come out, so we'll take those out. I'll just do this off to the side here, and you can see that the wear and tear on this thing is not restricted to the body. There's a piece of plastic missing here, but it's not really impeding its working. The front drivers are a tiny bit wonky, and if you don't have the trailing bogie on, this really does waddle, but this does seem to stabilize it. Now we take those two out, and like the 8F, we've got a long screw slash bolt in the chimney. So I'll just take that out. It is quite long. When you see these things advertised, people will often say Hornby Dublo 5/8 motor, and you look at the specs and you go, oh great, okay, so that'll work for me. Both motors are 5/8 motors. What one has is a slightly longer shaft on it. So this is the inside. This is the inside. This screw here undoes. If I can just get my driver in there, and you can see that the motor is already coming away, and that'll just drop out once I completely unscrew it. It's longer than I thought, longer than I remembered. And it was not entirely plain sailing with this motor either. It ran all right on its own, but there was quite a bit of sparking. You can see down. You probably can't in this shot, but you can see down into the armature there, especially if it's running and it's sparking. So what was required to fix that was I swapped a set of brushes out of one of these motors, and with new brushes in, this is running just beautifully. Now there are locating lugs here, and they allow you to locate the motor properly, and you just sort of ease it onto the drive, and it's one screw. It's really simple. Now, so let's have a look at one of these motors. To remove the brushes, it's a very simple operation. You don't need something like this to do it. But you do need something like this to put that little wire back into position. Now, if you bring the wire out here, out this way, it's likely to do this. I'll see if I can do it. It'll just spring up like that and sit up like that. That's no real problem. You can just wind it back on. He says casually, trying to get it with my nail. We'll use this, and the brushes for these have a slot cut into one into one end. What else is there to say? Be a bit careful when ordering magnets. The magnets for Hornby Dublo ring-filled motors are not all the same. There are ring-filled motors in the newer versions of 8Fs, Castles, these West Countries. There are ring-filled motors in the two large diesels, the Kobo and the Coco, and in the shunter. The shunter ones tend to overheat a bit. The Bobo, the Class 20, has a completely different motor setup. So these ones are, I suppose you could call them vaguely horizontal. They go in at an angle. The ones in the big diesels and in the shunter are vertical. And I think we might just take the opportunity now to take this apart and see if it's this one. I might be taking a couple of these apart to show you what can happen to the armatures in these. One of these is a real mess. I just need a smaller head on that screwdriver. Just bear with me. Here we go. So there are 4 screws, and what happens is the whole back of this motor comes off, and given that it's as dead as it is, I don't really mind if it doesn't go back together. As I say, one day it'll be sent away to be refurbished, and then I guess I'll be in the market for a West Country that doesn't go, and we can repeat the whole exercise. Okay, so those 4 screws, which is not dissimilar to other Hornby Dublo ring-filled motors. The arrangement with the carbon brushes is different in the diesels. Well, in the Kobo and Coco from memory. I'm getting on, so I can't quite remember what the innards of the shunter look like. Okay, so off it comes. That's the interior. If you want to get the brushes out, you just give it a knock and hopefully they come out. Now here's the magnet, and that's still reasonably strong. There's the armature on this thing, which is not looking in a tremendously great state. So one of the things that you can do is simply buy one of these. You always take the gamble that it's in similar condition to the one you're replacing, but these motors are extremely easy to take apart. You've just seen me do it in a couple of minutes. There should be, yes, there is a little red dot there for to allow you to make sure that you've got this together in the right position, so that when you turn the power on, expecting it to go forwards, it doesn't suddenly go backwards. And there, I've just clipped it all back together. I won't screw it all back up together or refit these little wires for the brushes. But here's the wire. It's just a little spring affair, and that's it. So to get back to this replaced motor, we took the opportunity to put some new wiring in, which I think is usually a good idea. Very often when you get these motors, they arrive like this. They've simply been cut. It's only one wire to cut to remove this, and one screw. So it's probably best that
best that you replace that wire. And I noticed that I did manage to shake out one of the brushes, so I'll just focus in on that if I can. Hopefully you can see that, but it has a little notch cut in the top, and usually they're a bit longer than that. That's not a great example. So what happened when I simply installed this and tried to run it? Well, it would run backwards and it wouldn't run forwards. I took it off the track, took the motor out. The motor would run backwards and forwards, but I did notice a lot of sparking. And so what I decided to do was to replace, as I said, replace the brushes, and that seems to have done the trick. Now, off camera, I'll screw all this back together. I'll put the body back on it, and we'll finish this video with this running and maybe pulling a couple of Pullman coaches.
As promised, thank you for watching. Here it is, fully operational.